Good afternoon. This is Dr. Jeff Moore, and I'm here to talk with you about the systems approach, the three dimensions of management. And we've been working on the management skill set and the cultural skill set. I also want to present to you this afternoon the ethics skill set. The ethics skill set is the virtue dimension or virtue DNA that looks at in individuals and organizations the difference between virtue and survival. And there's a book that I put together, and this is, if you want to find it on Amazon, you can find it. It's Organizational DNA, the Law of Virtue. When I talk about the difference between virtue and survival, I mean that there is an internal system. And this internal system is very much like an iceberg, where above the waterline you can see external behavior, but you really can't tell what's underneath the waterline of an iceberg and how big the iceberg underneath is. And most of the time scientists say it's about 80% of the iceberg is underwater. Well, when you think about our behavior, a lot of our behavior is really hidden, and the reasons why we do what we do is hidden. And that's where underneath the waterline you have a cultural system and you have a virtue system, or your belief system. So that belief system really I would want to put forth is an absolute system. So virtue is absolute in the sense that it works wherever you are, whatever environment you are in, versus the cultural system is a relative system. So culture is neither right or wrong, it's just different based on the environment. So as you tie in the culture with the ethical perspective, you have different behaviors. But this afternoon we're just looking at the virtue system and the difference between virtue, motivation, and self-centered motivation. Now think about the survival as a coin. On one side of the coin is the survival behavior, and on the flip side is the opposite of that coin, and is virtue. But first we're going to take a look at the three parts of the survival. And this is not survival, for example, when we're in an accident or something we have to focus on survival. This is survival from a moral sense, which is a negative. I win and the other person loses. And so we look at survival here as having three components: doubt or deception, depression or the use of fear, and greed or self-centeredness. And those are the main destructive motivations as you think of partnerships, as you think of people that you're connected with, either children or spouses or co-workers, that when the relationship really is mostly deceptive or fear or self-centered, really it puts a strain on the partnership, and there's a deterioration, if not a death, of that partnership. Let's take a little time here and take a look at this video from Frontline, and I want to just play a few minutes of this, but if you can pick up what are the survivalist behaviors.
Tonight, part one: money, power, and Wall Street.
The clouds are still hanging over the global economy, and they're still filled with risk.
Inside the epic story of the global financial crisis.
Here we are 3 years plus after, and very little has changed.
Where we are now,
Wall Street got bailed out, and Main Street didn't.
and how we got here.
Let's put together a portfolio of credit risk. Other banks have taken these ideas and applying them in ways that they'd never expected. Once the seed was planted, there wasn't any stopping it.
37 billion in bonuses this year.
This kind of cult of more, grow, grow, grow.
The economy is melting. The Bush administration is leaving. Obama gets a real glimpse of the future. Disaster's coming.
There's real panic in the marketplace. You may have just made the decision that destroyed the world. These banks transfer risk across the Atlantic.
Outside the purview of American regulators.
They turned into a Frankenstein monster.
Occupy everything! In an election year,
Wall Street got away with bank robbery.
is the global financial system any safer?
This crisis really never ended.
Tonight, part 1, Money, Power, and Wall Street.
So that's just a look at this idea of survival, and I'd like to encourage you to go to PBS online and take a look at that video. See what kind of pieces in the financial meltdown in 2008, what were the main motivators behind that, and who were the key individuals who allowed that destructive or that crisis to happen. Now, if we come back into the business environment where you and I are, I would like to suggest to you that both the employee and the manager can behave in survivalist ways or negative moral behavior. And so employees can be deceptive either in their time cards or how they report information. And managers can also be deceptive about promotions and different things. Managers can use fear to try to motivate people with being fired or pink slips and those things. And really, it is effective in the short term, but really not effective in the long term. Greed or pride, manager, for example, that has no time to develop people under him or her, that's a problem. Employees also can be self-centered and not want to share information for their own power and development, or help a younger person coming up into the environment. So everybody, we all can be in the fear motivation. Now the opposite of deception is truth, and that's really where we get trust. And there's a lot of literature in management and leadership about trust and how to focus on developing trust and truth in an organization, and it's proven that that's the basis for partnerships. And really it helps, the economists would say, to lower the transaction costs when there's trust. If I trust that my boss really does have my best or the team's best in mind and mine as well, I'm not going to second guess. But if I have reason to believe that my boss is deceptive, I'm going to spend quite a bit of time to make sure that whatever directives come down, that I make sure that I'm not being set up or something. So trust is the opposite. Also, you have the opposite of greed or pride, which is service or looking out for the needs of others as well. And instead of fear, there's vision and hope, where we're really focused on the future, a common good. We see here that the employee and the manager both can be in trust or in the virtue model. But the key really is trying to think who are the people that really developed you as a manager, or who are the role models in management that you look up to. Take a few minutes and think about who are the excellent role models, and jot down a couple of the key characteristics. And then who are the worst managers that you've had, and put a couple words beside those. And then finally, what do you think the impact of those two different type of managers had on the team or the organization? And then tie back and see which of them you can tie with either the virtue or the survival model. Within the organization, however, things are not status quo. They're very dynamic. And so a manager and the employee both can choose either to be motivated out of survival or virtue. And we see normally at the beginning both are in virtue. So when the employee's hired, the manager's happy, the employee's happy. And so you have unity and people are on the same page. However, sometimes people behave in a survivalist way, and that creates conflict. So either perceived or real, people's behavior seen as survivalist really create conflict. So if I think my boss is being deceptive, if it's true or not, that's going to affect me and how I interact with my boss, and so that would create conflict. So let's say my manager is here in virtue, but I perceive that manager to more be in a survival, and I try to be virtuous. I'm going to have quite a bit of conflict. Unfortunately, if both resort to conflict, you'll have a war, and because of the power situation, the manager always wins that war with staying and firing you because you're in survival. And unfortunately, that's not where we want to get to, because then the partnership is destroyed. And really, the benefit both to the manager and to the employees to be here in unity, where the manager is doing a good job as well as the employee.